Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're to be breaking down my fantasy football draft strategy for the number one overall spot in a 12-team league. Inside today's video, we'll start off by just looking at the bigger picture, talking about ADP on Yahoo, Fantrax, FFC, and Sleeper all together, and discussing my overall draft strategy. And then about halfway into the video, we're going to be pivoting into a 12-team half PPR mock draft from the first overall spot. So you guys can see how I am really looking to attack the draft from the number one overall spot. But before we could get on into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my 12-team draft strategy from the number one overall spot. So you're up at number one. You could have been doing research for the last 5 months. Like, you could have started doing research in February, the second the Super Bowl finished, or you could have started doing research 2 days before your fantasy football draft in August or in September, and you could come to the exact same conclusion. Right at the number one overall spot, there is very likely two players that you are going to be thinking of selecting. And I would bet you in 95% of drafts, there is going to be just one player going every single time, and that is going to be Jonathan Taylor. I really do believe Jonathan Taylor is a lock in a majority of drafts to go number one overall. In years prior, there would be people taking maybe McCaffrey at one, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. There were people taking a different look at the running back position when compared to this year, because this year it seems like basically everyone and their mother is taking Jonathan Taylor at number one overall, and I completely agree with doing that. Jonathan Taylor is both a very safe running back while at the same time having the immense ceiling to become the number one running back in all fantasy football like he was last season. I think he's going to dominate in Indianapolis yet again. They have a great offensive line. The quarterback change from Carson Wentz to Matthew Ryan is going to be helping out this offense even further. I think Jonathan Taylor dominates for the second year in a row here in Indianapolis. So for me, at number one overall, I'm going Jonathan Taylor. You can make the argument to draft Christian McCaffrey because when McCaffrey is healthy, this man is just so good. There's a reason why even last year, after he burned fantasy players in 2020 with injury, that people were drafting him so highly in 2021. And I think you got to put that into the back burner, right? You got to kind of forget the fact that Christian McCaffrey may have quote unquote screwed you over last season and just understand how good of a player he is. So if you want to take him number one overall, I understand. But in my opinion, at number one, I am going Jonathan Taylor. After that, there is going to be roughly a zillion picks until you pick again after Jonathan Taylor, according to the ADP averages from Yahoo, Fantrax, FFC, and Sleeper. After Taylor, we see Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Nicholas Chubb, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Alvin Kamara, Deebo Samuel, Ron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Josh Allen, and Mark Andrews. One of my favorite spots in fantasy football drafts is picking either right at the beginning of fantasy drafts or right at the end of the first round, because I feel like I have a lot of control on the swings. While at the beginning, you have to wait a while until you pick again. Then at 24 and 25, you get back-to-back picks, and I feel like you can really dictate how the draft goes by where you are picking on those swings and how you are picking the players on the swings. Now, early on in the draft, you can't really dictate things, right? Sure, you might snipe someone, say you're at pick 24 and you take Ezekiel Elliott. Now, I don't think you should take Ezekiel Elliott, and maybe someone else wanted Ezekiel Elliott, and they're like, fuck you. You took Ezekiel Elliott, right? That's funny and all, but you can't really dictate anything early on. But when you get into the fifth, sixth round, if you take a quarterback and a tight end, you might start to make people panic at the quarterback and tight end position. So that's why I really like picking at the edges of drafts, because I feel like you can really control how the kind of draft is moving. Now, I understand in reality, you can't control anything, but if you are in a league with people who tend to panic, you might be able to make them panic and start reaching up on certain positions. So at 24, you're back up. You already drafted Jonathan Taylor. Now here is where, if Mark Andrews is available, I am basically smashing the draft button. I'm hitting that thing with the Hulk smash, because I really do believe that Mark Andrews could easily be the number one tight end in all of fantasy football. And you're basically getting a full round discount on him compared to Travis Kelce. Now, in a lot of drafts, Andrews will go earlier than that. Andrews' ADP on here is pick 23. So we will not be taking him. So we are instead going to go with Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. I understand Saquon Barkley is also a little bit risky because he has burned people in the past. But if you actually look at the injuries that Saquon has had over the last couple of years, they don't correlate at all. It's not like Saquon Barkley just has a left knee that is made of twigs or something, right? It's not like Saquon Barkley has an ankle injury that just keeps showing up. It dates back to college. No, he doesn't. So I'm fine with Saquon Barkley here. I'm starting to kind of get a little bit higher and higher on him. I think there's probably a way that he creeps up all the way into the first round by the time we're drafting in August. So right now, I'm fine with Saquon Barkley there. And now I already have two running backs. You could go triple running back. You could go robust running back. But I'm just going to go with a wide receiver that I love in Mike Evans. I understand the team just brought in Julio Jones. If you move Mike Evans in your rankings because the team drafted Julio, or not drafted Julio Jones, got Julio Jones from free agency, you are as dumb as a bag of fucking rocks, okay? Mike Evans has, or like Julio Jones has zero effect on Mike Evans. Mike Evans is still going to dominate. Mike Evans gets all those points from scoring touchdowns. Julio Jones doesn't score touchdowns, so you shouldn't be worried at all. And now we kind of get into the middle of the draft, and this is where things really start to open up because, again, you already got your two running backs now and your one wide receiver. Now, in my opinion, we're in the middle rounds of the draft. This is kind of where the running back dead zone starts to appear. If you want to hop into the dead zone, there are a couple of running backs that you can kind of evade the dead zone with, in my opinion. But if you want, you could just start hammering wide receivers at this point or get your quarterback. So based upon ADP, after we take Saquon and after we take Mike Evans, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Leonard Fournette, David Montgomery, Ezekiel Elliott, Cam Akers, James Conner, Antonio Gibson, Kyle Pitts, Pat Mahomes, Herbert, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, George Kittle, Josh Jacobs, Michael Pittman, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Elijah Mitchell, Darren Waller, and Breece Hall would all be off the board. Here is where I am fine taking some more shots at the wide receiver position. Now, normally, right here, based upon ADP, Travis Etienne would be the pick at pick 48th. Knowing now that James Robinson was not put on the PUP, I am smashing the fucking brake on Travis Etienne. I think James Robinson is going to play some effect this season. I think you can still draft Etienne, but I'm nowhere near as confident as I was a couple of weeks ago. So here, we're just going to keep hammering on high upside wide receivers here. In my opinion, I would definitely go here with DJ Moore. I think Baker Mayfield is going to be better than what mono man Sam Darnold was last year. Now, is it a humongous step up? It's not like going from Sam Darnold to fucking Patrick Mahomes, but in my opinion, things are definitely looking a little bit better. And maybe DJ Moore finally is able to score a lot more touchdowns this season. And then I'm hammering with the wide receiver position. And now I'm going Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's ADP right now is pick 60. It seems like Chris Godwin's not going to be put on the PUP. Will he be 100% for week one? I'm not too sure. But when this guy does get back on the field, he has top 12 receiver potential. I understand we already just drafted two Tampa Bay wide receivers, but I don't give a fuck when the offense is that good. So I'm fine doing that. And then we get into the middle, later rounds. And here, if you've already went kind of running back with the first two picks, I think you should wait a little bit. And then maybe around pick 70, you start opening up and taking some more running backs. Maybe you want to go with some safety with Kareem Hunt, or maybe you want to go with upside. Like, in my opinion, my pick would probably be around a guy like Rashad Penny. So now we are going to pivot into the actual mock draft so you guys can be seeing what I would be doing for sure if we were doing an actual fantasy football draft. I hope the first half of the video was very helpful, though, because in my opinion, looking at all the ADP, kind of trying to navigate the draft is very important. A lot of fantasy football drafters just draft based upon ADP in your guys' home league. So make sure you guys do take a good look at the ADP on the website you're going to be drafting on for your fantasy football draft before the draft. And then if you're drafting in person, then ADP, it doesn't necessarily go away because I think you should still be keeping ADP in mind. But ADP goes a little bit out the window when you are doing a draft in person with the board. So at number one overall, again, we kind of already went in depth with this. Jonathan Taylor is going to be my pick. To me, he is the perfect combination of safety as well as ceiling. We saw him finish as the number one running back in fantasy football last year. I think he could easily do it again in 2022. JT would be my pick at the 101. After that, we see Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. If you can get Christian McCaffrey at the 105, your league mates are smoking some fat doinks. After that, we got Najee Harris, Cooper Kupp, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Swift, Mark Andrews, Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Tyreek Hill, Aaron Jones, and Josh Allen. So earlier in that kind of simulation we were doing, we were able to get Saquon Barkley at the 212. That was not possible in this draft. Seems like people are steaming up on Saquon Barkley, but in some drafts, people will stay clear away because obviously he's burned them the last couple of years and people get a little bit nervous. Josh Allen at the 211, it makes sense, right? For people to take Josh Allen early, I get why they do it. Not for me, though. Not for me. There's kind of a spot around the 5th round, which is where I start feeling open to taking quarterback. If you want to reach up on a quarterback, you can do it there. But for me, I'm staying clear away prior to the 5th round. I guess here technically at the 412, you can take one too, right? It's basically the same fucking thing. So we're back up on the board here. Looking at the wide receivers here, we're going to keep things a little bit similar to what we were talking about here and go with Mike Evans. I really do believe that Mike Evans has top 5 potential, even with Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, all of those guys there. I think that Mike Evans is going to have yet another fantastic season. Tom Brady is still amazing. So I really think Mike Evans is in an amazing spot this year in 2022 to have yet another great season. So now I have the running back, a guy who I think should easily finish as a top 3 running back and a wide receiver that I think has top 5 potential. And then here is where you kind of have to think about things kind of deeply here because you could go with Debo. Debo is kind of not necessarily safe because I don't think he's going to be rushing the ball as much, but you kind of know what Debo is. Debo's a receiver that's clearly the number 1 guy on San Fran, but they are a run-heavy team. Then you go with Javonte Williams right below him. Javonte Williams is the quote-unquote lead running back on the Broncos who just got Russell Wilson, but Melvin Gordon is still there. And then you got A.J. Brown, who's the clear number 1 in Philadelphia, but they don't throw the ball that much either. I'm going to go with Debo Samuel here. I think people are worrying a little too much about Debo Samuel. I think he's going to be just fine with Trey Lance, but is he going to be a top 5, top 3 receiver? Probably not, in my opinion, but I still think that his upside is decent. So after Debo comes Kyle Pitts, A.J. Brown, Javonte Williams, Justin Herbert, the pervert, Pat Mahomes, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott, Deontay Johnson, David Montgomery, Keenan Allen, Cam Akers, T. Higgins, Antonio Gibson, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, Terry McLaurin, Lamar Jackson, Josh Jacobs, George Kittle, Michael Pittman, Darren Waller, and J.K. Dobbins. So we're back up on the board here. We got 1 running back and 2 wide receivers. Looking at the running back room here, nothing is that exciting here in the 4th round, right? I like Elijah Mitchell, but I'm not going to draft Elijah Mitchell, right? I'm not overwhelmingly in love with Elijah Mitchell to where I want to draft him in the 4th round. Then we got CEH, Damian Harris, right? These are guys you just want to stay away from. All of the top 5 tight ends are already off the board, so I'm not going to be going tight end here. We're just going to continue to hop on the wide receiver train, go with a hero running back build, meaning that Jonathan Taylor's my hero running back. He's the only running back I'm going to draft for the first couple rounds of the draft, and we're hammering in on wide receiver here. We are going to go with DJ Moore yet again. I really do believe that DJ Moore is in a much better position now with Baker Mayfield as the starting quarterback, and I think we see probably the best season of DJ Moore's career in 2022. Before we get on into our next pick of this draft, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor of today's video, Underdog Fantasy, which is the single best place to play fantasy football this summer. The Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has $10 million in total prize money, $2 million to first place. All you got to do is draft your team, and that's it. You don't have to worry about doing waivers, no trades, no in-season management. Underdog will give you guys the best score for every single position in your lineup every single week. And they just automatically do that. You don't even have to worry about setting your lineup. Last year's Best Ball Mania champion drafted their team in June, so there is no reason to wait. You can go ahead and draft right now. All you got to do is click on the link in the video description down below to get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. You deposit $100, you'll get an additional $100, and you will receive our Best Ball draft kit for 100% free. That's a combined $170 worth of value with a first-time deposit of up to $100. Please make sure that you guys do check that out. Back on into the draft. We just went with DJ Moore. We have our 1 running back. We have our 3 receivers, but we're going wide receiver yet again here. I think that there's a lot of players here that I like. Again, I do like Godwin, but I think Jalen Waddle is being slept on because of the fact that Tyreek Hill is there. I think Jalen Waddle still eats in this offense. I think the Miami Dolphins offense is going to take a huge leap this season when compared to last year. So I like Jalen Waddle a ton at the 501. After Waddle, we get Jerry Jeudy, DK Metcalf, Elijah Mitchell, Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Amari Cooper, Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow, Hollywood Brown, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kyler Murray, Allen Robinson, Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin, Jalen Hurts, TJ Hawkinson, Dalton Schultz, Brandon Cooks, Damian Harris, AJ Dillon, Miles Sanders, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Kenneth Walker. We're back up on the board here. Looking at the running backs here, I am not in love with any of these players. I do like Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady at the quarterback position, but not in the 6th round, right? If I don't get one of these guys that I like in the first 5 rounds, then I'm probably just going to wait until we get towards the end here of these guys that I like. So I like Dak, I like Russ, I like Tom Brady, I like Aaron Jones, I like Matthew Stafford, I like Trey Lance. And I do like Carr and Kirk Cousins, but after Lance is where I see kind of a fall off. So I want to make sure I get one of these guys, but I don't want to do some type of a crazy reach. I do like Dallas Goedert as well as Dawson Knox, but don't like them as much as I like Dalton Schultz. So I think taking them in the same round is a little bit crazy. So we're going to go running back and wide receiver here. I do love these 3 wide receivers. These are 3 wide receivers that I'm heavily invested into best ball right now, and I'm going to be heavily invested in redraft this season. Adam Thielen's ADP has greatly risen over the last couple of months. He was a guy going near pick 100. Now he's closer to the 70s, the 60s in some drafts. I think Adam Thielen is going to have a fantastic year in Minnesota. Darnell Mooney is the #1 receiver on the Chicago Bears. He is the only fucking receiver on the Chicago Bears that actually matters. And then we got Drake London, the #1 receiver in Atlanta. The other wide receivers there, Brian Edwards, Olamide Zacchaeus. They're not going to prove to be much of a threat at all. Or you can go with DeAndre Hopkins because we already have 4 wide receivers. So in a wide receiver heavy draft like this, I think DeAndre Hopkins is the pick because when DeAndre Hopkins returns from suspension, you can throw him in your lineup and he's a top 12 receiver. But Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, and Jalen Waddle, they can be your 4 wide receivers for now until then. So I think that's an excellent pick in that scenario. If I didn't have wide receivers that I was confident in, I probably would have went with the safer Darnell Mooney or Adam Thielen. We only have 1 running back right now, so I want to be hunting for as much upside as possible. I think Kareem Hunt is basically one of the safer picks in fantasy football, right? Because he's never going to really elevate himself with 9-inch Nicholas Chubb there and score 18, 20 points, but he's also never going to really screw your pooch, right? He's never really going to screw you over and have an awful game because he catches passes. Cordell Patterson, I think, is the upside pick. I think this is a pick that is either going to be a swing hit out of the fucking park, or this is going to be a swing and a miss by a mile. I think Cordell Patterson could potentially be locked into that role he was in last year, or maybe Cordell Patterson is a complete and utter bust. But when I'm already confident in Jonathan Taylor, I don't want to take the safe approach and just draft Kareem Hunt, right? I want to go for the highest upside possible, and I think Cordell Patterson possesses that. So after Cordell Patterson comes Adam Thielen, Kareem Hunt, Drake London, Juju Smith-Schuster, Treylon Burks, Tony Pollard, Darnell Mooney, Russell Wilson, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, Dak Prescott, Hunter Renfrow, Devin Singletary, Dallas Goedert, Gabe Davis, Devontae Smith, Tyler Lockett, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, and Chris Olave. We still don't have a tight end, but again, I'm not panicking just yet. So we are going to go running back here. Again, we are hunting for the highest upside possible, in my opinion, when we have this hero running back strategy based upon what we have here. So I'm going Rashad Penny. I think Rashad Penny has the potential to stay the #1 running back in Seattle. I think he's better than Kenneth Walker in his first year. I think Walker is a talented running back. I don't think that he's some type of a awful running back that just doesn't deserve to be drafted where he was, doesn't deserve to be in a position to kind of elevate himself to be the #1 running back on the team, right? I do believe he does deserve that, but I don't believe that he will be the #1 running back if Penny stays healthy. Now, that's a huge if. Now, right here is where we get into a bit of a conundrum because I kind of want to draft another running back here, but the quarterback position is dwindling. So we are going to plug our nose and hope that we can get Carr or Kirk Cousins because if we don't, things are going to look brutal. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Every other team besides us has a quarterback. So if someone takes a second quarterback before we can get ours, that would be a real feels bad, man. I just don't really see that happening in a real draft. Now, we are in a mock draft against computers, and computers are a little bit crazy. So we're going to go with Chase Edmonds again. I don't think he is the most upside pick at the running back position, but I do believe that, well, not necessarily an upside pick, because I think he could be a top 12 back, but I don't think he's one of those guys that is super risky. I know what his role is going to be. He's going to catch passes. He's going to run the ball. But is he going to be so much of the #1 back in Miami that he is by far and away the best pick of this Dolphins backfield? I'm not too sure, but I am interested in him because I think he's a talented player. So after Chase Edmonds, we see James Cook, Melvin Gordon, Dawson Knox one time if you're with me, Sky with 2 Ys more, Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance. See these assholes in this draft took two quarterbacks on us. You really hate to see that. Robert Woods, Zach Ertz, Chase Claypool, Pat Fryermouth, Ramondre Stevenson, Mike Licky, Amagasicki, Christian Watson, Michael Carter, Christian Kirk, Alan Lazard, Ronald Jones, James Robinson, Russell Gage, who's just fallen down the draft board now, Isaiah Spiller, Javonte Williams, and Kadarius Toney. So we kind of have our running backs here. I'm fine not taking another one. We're going quarterback, and we're taking my boy Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is going to have a better year in 2022. Now, he doesn't have some crazy rushing upside, but he is relatively safe because of how good this wide receiver core is in Viva Las Vegas. Devontae Adams. They have, obviously, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. This team is going to be great in 2022. So I like Carr, and Carr's one of those quarterbacks where, again, he's not in the upper echelon tier, but he's good enough to where I don't need to draft two quarterbacks. Looking at tight end, we've already punted the tight end position, right? All the good ones are gone. Now you're just praying that one of these guys ends up clicking. So I'd rather just wait and draft two of them. We're going wide receiver or running back yet again here. And I'm jumping back onto the wide receiver train here. And we're going with MVS, who could be the number one receiver in Kansas City. He could also be a complete nutter bust. But when you are in the 11th round and we already have the star-studded wide receivers, I am hunting for the highest upside possible. And I think MVS has that crazy upside in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. After that, we see Damian Pierce, Michael Gallup, Mr. You Like That, Kirk Cousins, Cole Kmet, Alexander Madison, Tyler, Boyd, Justin Fields, Darrell Henderson, Tua Tagovailoa, Rashad White, Albert O, Naheem Hines, Matt Ryan, Tyler Algier, George Pickens, Jahan Doxson, Hunter Henry, Rondell Moore, Tim Patrick, Kenny Galladay, Deshaun Watson, and Jarvis Landry. Looking here at the tight end position, again, things are just not that great here. I'm going to go with Irv Smith because I liked Irv Smith a lot last year. Now, I do understand that if Adam Thielen stays healthy, maybe Irv Smith gets knocked down a bit of a peg, but I do think that Irv Smith is a talented enough tight end to be the number one tight end on the team, and we have seen some flashes of him in the past. Obviously, not last year because he got hurt prior to the season, but with Irv Smith, again, I'm not as much of a believer. I'm not as strong in my beliefs as I was last year, so I do want to draft another tight end as well. So we got one running back in Jonathan Taylor, two running back in Cordell Patterson. We have Rashad Penny and Chase Edmonds. So I definitely want to get another one before we close on out of this draft. And we've already kind of hunted for the high upside, so we're just going to go safe. J.D. McKissick's never going to screw you over. He's probably going to score he's like Kareem Hunt light, right? He's like Kareem Hunt going a bunch of rounds later. He's never going to win you your week. He's also never going to screw you over. So I like J.D. McKissick. He's a solid pass catcher, and maybe his role is a little bit stronger than people are giving him credit for right now. After that, we see Jacoby Myers, Noah Fant, David Njoku, Trevor Lawrence, Devontae Parker, DJ Chark, Marlon Mack, Raheem Mostert, Mecole Hardman, Kenneth Gainwell, Mac Jones, Khalil Herbert, Gus Edwards, Tyler Higbee, Jalen Tolbert, who I love. Love Jalen Tolbert in the 14th round. That's a steal. Hayden Hurst, Tyrion Davis-Price, Rob Gronkowski, Maki Mock Ingram, David Bell, Chuba Hubbard, and Jameis Winston. Eat a W. Famous Jameis. All right. Now we got a wide receiver and a tight end here. Again, just going for the highest upside available here at wide receiver. Alec Pierce. You know what always screams high upside? Rookies. Alec Pierce might be stuck behind Perry Campbell, or he might be the number one or number two receiver on Indy behind Michael Pittman. Or you know what? Since he's a hot topic, we're going with Julio. I don't think Julio is going to be a good pick at all, if I'm being honest with you. I think people are going to see in the 14th round, he's a good pick. I'll agree because the upside is there. But in the 8th round where he's going to end up going, if you draft Julio Jones in the 8th round, you're fucking crazy in my opinion. So we got Julio. Now we're going tight end. We got Irv Smith, whose bye week is bye 7, so we can't draft another bye 7 player. We're going for more upside with Gerald Everett, starting tight end of the LA Chargers. After Everett, we see Big Bob Tunyon, Jamal Williams, Alec Pierce, Brian Robinson, Van Jefferson, Darrell Williams, Dante Foreman, Zach Wilson, the MILF Slayer, Odell Beckham Jr., KJ Osborne, and Zamir White. So to recap our team from the number 1 overall spot, we went Jonathan Taylor, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, DeAndre Hopkins, Cordero Patterson, Rashad Penny, Chase Edmonds, Derek Carr. Then we went with MVS, Irv Smith, J.D. McKissick, Julio Jones, and Gerald Everett. Let me know what you guys thought about our squad. I really enjoyed drafting this team, and I think we did an excellent job. And let me know if your guys' strategy is a little different for the number 1 spot. Now, obviously, things are going to change based upon how the draft goes down. If Aaron Jones is available there, I'm probably taking Aaron Jones, right? But, based upon how things went, I like this team construction a lot, and I think I'm going to be doing a lot of hero running back builds in my redraft leagues this season. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I love you guys all so much, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy!